When I was younger, my mom, grandmother, and I would go picking together, mostly thrift stores, and my mother would look for Fire King and Fiesta dishes. She had a dish problem. My grandmother looked for Coach bags because she worked for Coach in the 80s. And then I just found myself drawn to the vintage fashion, like all clothing, and of course accessories too, but it developed at a young age. Number one, it's just, I guess I have a gift of recognizing the beauty in garments. And with kind of hands-on education that I have for doing this for so many decades, that you develop an eye for quality textiles and for different designers that you appreciate. And over the years, you learn how to, well, I've learned how to identify pieces that are special. And so once I've been able to do that, over time, my curation has become more curated because I want to bring the best to the table. So now, after 9 years in the business, I travel to 4 countries outside of the US per year, and I do 4 domestic sourcing trips within the US. So for me, I'm trying to bring vintage fashion from all over the world to Savannah, specifically to House of Strut. This particular area seems to be, the Southeast, seems to just be overpicked in general. And so I want to elevate the process and elevate the curation of the clothing that I offer. So I just continue to challenge myself, and luckily now I'm in a place where I get to layer traveling in with my sourcing trips. Not specifically. I mean, it's always fun to find a gunny sack peasant dress. There's things that definitely get me off, for sure, labels that get me off. But more importantly, it's just finding these items that are nostalgic and deserve a second chance and deserve to be shared with the world, not necessarily in someone's closet, never having the light of day. So I do appreciate that. And the history that went into the piece, I feel as though garments carry energy. And if I can process these pieces and source them in a mindful way and get them on the bodies of men and women that will build their confidence and their courage and their appreciation of the history of vintage, that always feels good. Recently, I bought pieces from Nancy Lee Andrews. She was a famous photographer, late 60s, 70s, and 80s, but she was engaged to Ringo Starr. And so Ringo Starr bought quite a few pieces for her. Specifically, there is a Yves Saint Laurent 1969 wool cape that has a hood. And Ringo actually purchased that for Nancy in Monte Carlo in 1970. So it's really exciting that a Beatle actually bought a product that I have in the shop, as well as a purse too. But specifically, that was really exciting to obtain that. I guess my shop is my closet. I really had to learn to let go, because if I held on to all the amazing things, then I wouldn't have anything to sell. So I had to have that opportunity with myself to challenge myself, that I had to let go to receive. And because I was able to push through that, it's hard for collectors. You get off on collecting certain things, and then you have this amazing collection and you couldn't imagine yourself living without it. But I had to, honestly, I had to ask God for help to learn how to let go so I could create the vision that I had for House of Strut. And so now if I need an outfit for a special event, I'll just pull something at the shop. Usually if I wear it once and get photographed, I probably won't wear it again. So I'd rather pass it off for somebody else to enjoy. Well, there's so many fashion goddesses out there. Specifically, I love pieces that stand out, and I've always loved Cher's iconic looks. Every decade, she brings it, whether she's just casual or she's performing in Vegas, all over the years. She's incredible. So I would say she's one of them. But personally, who someone touched me as my grandmother. I go by Nana. Her name is Nana, and she's my fashion icon because she is 93 and she still cares about how she looks and how she presents herself. And she always makes sure her lipstick's on. This week she went to the emergency room because she thought she was having a heart attack, and the one thing she took was her lipstick. So, you know, that's inspiring. You know, if you are dedicated to your vanity like that, it's amazing. So I hold her in high regard. Absolutely. I think style is something that should evolve. And when I was 21, style was very different from 31 to 41 or whatever. It's just been an ever evolving process, and that's always what I like to convey to others. I think it's important to have your classic pieces, but it's also very important to explore and be willing to try something new, whether it's just a belt or it's a color you haven't explored but still looks good with your palette. Challenging yourself and finding ways to express yourself through your clothing, I would think would be a goal for everyone, but I'm partial. I think it's really exciting that we have such a great vintage fashion scene here in Savannah. And I would like to see Savannah become a destination for vintage fashion. So I encourage all of those that want to open up their shop, like, please, let's have coffee, because the more we could have here, the better. It'd be really exciting for the vintage fashion industry to be Savannah, to be known for it. And I think we're well on our way. With regards to, I just try to bring my best to the table. I respect everyone and what they are accomplishing in the scene, but I just try to bring my very best to the table. And the longer you do it, I guess my personality is such that I want to continue to better everything that I do. And I know I'm not ever going to be perfect, but if I can just keep evolving and keep bettering the business and bettering the experience for the client, really more than anything, vintage fashion can feel exclusive. And it's very important to me that I change that mindset and I make it inclusive. So I'm sourcing for a lot of masculine pieces. I'm sourcing for curvy pieces. I want to challenge myself where vintage fashion feels more accessible to everyone. And not only that, that we are able to style them in such a way that they build confidence and courage that they might not have had within their wardrobe. Well, my very first photo shoot that I ever did, it was even before the store opened, and it was for Savannah Morning News, like The Do, I think. And with, so it was called Women in Music. And I was highlighting, I was always inspired by women musicians in Savannah. So my very first shoot was with about 15 women within Savannah that were musicians. And it was before I had a store, so I was in a storage unit. And I brought them all to my storage unit to get styled, and walking them, probably a scary experience if they didn't know me and asked you to come to my storage unit to get styled. But that was really fun. So there was about 15 women musicians. I styled them individually, and then it was my very first photo shoot, which was a huge accomplishment to style that many women and to put that together, that many looks. That will always resonate. It's probably my most exciting shoot because it was the first one. And then recently, we did a prom shoot at El Rocco, and our new photographer, Marie, knocked it out of the park. It was another large shoot that took a lot of hands on deck, but it was exciting to see the results. And it's always fun to shoot in a local business like El Rocco, and they're a great neighbor to us. So it's nice to give them a little shout out as well. I'm a cheerleader for those that want to have a work life in this business. So I developed what we call the House of Strut Vintage Fashion Masterclass. This is actually a 7-day boot camp for adults that want to start a vintage fashion business and want to run a real store. So I'm taking the knowledge and the experience that I've built over the time in the business and prior to, and built a crash course for those that want to open a vintage fashion shop. I want to be a cheerleader for that, encourage that, and however I can be of service to especially women that want to start their own businesses. So I've created it. Our first class was last summer, and I had a student from Nashville, Tennessee, and a student from Miami, and we were here for a 7-day intense course that was actually an incredible experience. So encouraging other women to create and run their own businesses is actually the most joyful for me. And this masterclass program is a really great way to jumpstart a career in vintage fashion. And I'm happy to talk to anyone about it. Like I said, I would love to see Savannah be a destination for vintage lovers, and the more shops we can have, the better. I also love business in general. Before I did this, I worked years in corporate, so I'm able to merge that experience with the small business experience as well. But I think it gives me kind of like a different perspective on small business and treating it more like a large business and running it from like a macro vision, but also dwindling down to your policies and processes. I've made lots of mistakes. I would love for people to learn from my mistakes. So I'd be happy to share. And I think that that's important. Small business is the backbone to America. And it's the backbone to Savannah specifically. We have a really special city, and I would much rather see local businesses flourish and put the corporates out of business. That would be fun. That would be really fun. But that's a challenge, and striking a balance, maybe, I think, is the most important thing in all that you do, is just finding some balance. But if anyone's hungry to break into the business, I'll be happy to have a cup of coffee. You're paying, but I'll drink it and share with what I know. I usually put my cards out on all the table. I am working on our website. It's been a long time coming. I say third time's the charm because this is my third attempt at launching a website, and we're moving House of Strut into the 21st century with a website. Look at us. It's exciting. So we're gonna carry all of our luxury, all of our designer, and then all of just the specialty pieces that deserve for the world to see and potentially purchase. I'm really hopeful that all my followers from Instagram go and sign up at houseofstrut.com for my email list. That'd be great. But I'm really looking forward to it. It's exciting. It's a really busy time of year for us. But I always feel like I perform better when my plate is full.